This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Hello, welcome to this edition of Red Side. Trent here to bring you the post-match analysis of the West Ham game as Forest score either side of half-time to win 2-1 at the Taxpayers Stadium. I'm delighted to be joined by Christian Brown and Chris Elmer from Forest all over. Christian, you were there. I think if everyone might have seen you in that lovely yellow Labatt shirt that you're wearing right now on television. How was it? How was it to have like a bit of a home game for you, seeing that you live down that way?
Bloody lovely, mate. I was back home at 6. I couldn't believe it. Must like for you lot. Yeah, no, good. It was good. It was a bit of a weird feeling going into the game. It sort of felt like I don't know. It just felt like the entire mood had lifted, basically, in some sense. It sort of felt like we were sort of resigned to it all, and it's like, okay, what will be, sort of thing. And yeah, it was good. It was obviously the way the away end is at West Ham, it's completely disconnected. So you've got the upper part and you've got like a massive sort of section and you've got the lower part. So it was, I know you're saying like obviously getting songs going and atmosphere going, so it is generally quite difficult of how it's done, but it's still a decent-ish away end for what I say. Obviously, good to sign off with a win. I think that's 10 away wins this season now, I think, out of the 19 games we've had in the league, which is a tremendous achievement, especially given how much we struggled away from home in the previous 2 seasons. And yeah, it felt like we never really looked pretty comfortable. It looked like, it was a pretty controlled performance, I thought, from Forest.
Yeah, Chris, how are you? I mean, we spoke in the week actually saying about how we could just go there with a bit of freedom almost. And it looks like we did, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I thought early on we were pressing really well. We were taking the game to them. The first half, obviously they had a couple of chances from set pieces, and early on that cross, Souček nearly scored within a minute and 30 seconds. Great save themselves. But apart from that first half specifically and how we started, I just was really proud of the lads for just going out after them. I felt like our passing was really crisp. The combination of sort of Sangare, Anderson, Gibbs White, and even Dominguez at times that first half was just so good to see. It just felt like we were, at some points, we were literally one touch passing the ball out the back in that first half. So yeah, we went at them. We got what we deserved. But it was more nervy than it needed to be at the back end. I was worried for Christian. I saw him in the crowd on the TV, and I was worried how he was going to feel afterwards if we'd blown that with all the injury time as well. But yeah, brilliant from us, and went right at them from the beginning, which is what we wanted to see.
Yeah, definitely. I echo that. I mean, I put that on my personal Twitter. I was like, as long as we give our all, we throw the kitchen sink at West Ham and send it into a last game of the season scenario, which we can with from 3rd to 7th being separated only by 1 point. Obviously, Manchester City played their game in hand on Tuesday against Bournemouth. And Bournemouth have still got a slender, and I mean the smallest of slivers of getting 8th, and that being a European spot somehow. They explained it or something on Sky Sports. It's still very confusing. I still think you need a degree to kind of understand it. But we're going to start with the team, Christian. It was the same as the Leicester game, barring Murillo coming back. And I mean, he had some magic sponge moments in this game because it came off of a golf cart at half time. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we spoke about this last pod that we didn't want to see Dominguez shifted out to the right, but actually it seemed to tweak itself again today, and it worked to an extent. I thought we got it kind of spot on in hindsight, really. But what did you make of it pre-match?
Yeah, like we said before, pre-match I saw it. I just thought, okay, well, it's going to be a long afternoon then. But we went assuming it'd be a 4-2-3-1 with Dominguez out on the left or maybe the right, depending on what side he wanted the Langer on. But obviously, as the game transpired, it proved that wasn't to be a case at all. It was a midfield three of Dominguez, Sangare, and Anderson, and he looked good. He looked really good. Obviously, great to have Murillo back in. I don't think Morato's a bad player per se. I think he's a decent-ish backup option. But I think when you see Murillo come out the team, you sort of appreciate just how good he is, and maybe we sort of take that for granted a little bit because he is a special talent, and we saw that again today. To be fair, especially the first half. But so yeah, obviously fantastic to see him back. You obviously want to see your best players playing, of course, and yeah, it just felt so much better, so much fresher. They looked so much they looked less burdened. I don't know if that makes any sense, but they looked a lot more free in what they were doing. They were passing the ball around nicely. They just, it felt like they were enjoying themselves again, which is great to see, obviously, as a fan. And yeah, I mean, like I said to you before, what was interesting for me was, said to you off air, sorry, was West Ham's team, because West Ham went with 7 defensive-minded players, and it seemed pretty straight from the off. They were going, right, okay, Forest, you have the ball, and that's all well and good. But if Forest get an early goal, your entire game plan's ruined then because you're playing our game. And thankfully, that's kind of how the plan went.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you mentioned about our high press early doors, and also a great save from Matt Sells, who, I mean, hopefully still can win Golden Glove. I know David Ray got another clean sheet today, which I think puts them level potentially. I'm not sure. So hopefully a clean sheet against Chelsea then, and that kind of seals everything. That's what we want. But you talked about the high press, and I was really impressed with it. I mean, I don't know what the hell West Ham were doing, because it led to quite a few early chances. We had chances from corners, and then eventually Morgan Gibbs-White gets a gift from Areola. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was watching, to be honest.
Yeah, it was mad. I saw us pressing a couple of times and nicking the ball off them, and Kilman, decent defender, but like at times is slow on the turn, and I felt like we were pressing high. And there was moments where Wood was sort of dropping deeper, and then Alanga was going higher, and then you'd see Dominguez suddenly charge in the defense, and then Gibbs-White's getting really high, and it just works to perfection. And they still were trying to play that Potter ball. They were still going to try and play it from the back, and they weren't going to change their strategy. It's kind of like Amarim with Man United. They're just going to keep playing it, and eventually we nipped in and got that. Areola's pass was horrendous. I mean, he had a bit of time as well. He literally had a bit of time to pick out a pass. There was 2 West Ham defenders. It sort of Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White just nips in, grabs it. And there was a moment, obviously Gibbs-White had missed a chance a little bit earlier on, which was chest and volley. It was actually a decent effort. A lot of people were saying, point blank, probably should have hit it back of the net. But I felt like it was a decent effort and just a good save from Areola. So I thought, come on, Gibbs-White, stick this one in. And he did. Finished it beautifully. And then as soon as we go 1-0 up, we all know this. As soon as that happens, we go, okay, our game plan is locked in now. You're going to have to come with us. We're going to have Alanga running down your throat, and it just makes things a lot easier. And I suppose that's kind of the moral of the season is, if we go 1-0 down, what's our game plan to get back into it? If we go 1-0 up, we know exactly what we're doing. And I know it's not as simplistic as that, but sometimes it is. And today it really was. And of course, the longer the game went on, the longer Potter's scratching his head. And, before you know it, we're 2-0 up. But yeah, brilliant from Gibbs-White to nip in, and great for him to get another goal. That's 2 goals and assists back-to-back games. So that just quiets a bit of the noise down, even though we know probably he's leaving this summer. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I mean, Christian mentioned to me just before you come in, Chris, off air, about how good a piece of play that Morgan Gibbs-White did in the right back position, where he Cruyff turned it and then just got us out of trouble and got us on the attack. But yeah, so kind of going to be a difficult one to hold someone who's doing so well. That's 15 goal involvements this season, 7 goals, 8 assists. I mean, I don't know why they've not included the penalty win that he got against Brighton, so it should be 9 assists in my eyes, but whatever. Christian, did you ever feel like we sat back in that first half? Because I actually didn't. I actually thought we kind of sensed a little bit of weakness from West Ham, especially their crowd. You could honestly hear a pin drop. I think on it was like you said about a friendly. It was like going down to a non-league game where you can hear all the players shout instructions and everything else. It was very, very strange. I mean, I would have hated to be in that ground as a West Ham supporter personally.
There was actually one moment, you're right, where we could hear Potter shouting orders on the touchline. It was so strange for a 60,000 capacity stadium. It's just zoned out basically. So it felt like a sort of like not like a behind closed doors game at times, but it was weird. I mean, obviously for me, it's the most convenient away day in the entire Premier League. I mean, I can, like, from door to door, I'm there in like 45 minutes pretty much. But it's also the worst away day in the well, it's probably up there for running away in terms of the pyramids, if I'm being honest. It's just a soulless bowl, and it's like, you sold your soul for this, really. Like, was it really worth it? Like, the fans hate it. It's no Upton Park. I was lucky enough to go there a couple of times to watch Forest play there, and it's no Upton Park at all. But yeah, it was strange. I mean, we weren't daunted by it at all. I mean, obviously, you might see a big crowd or whatever else, even if it's quiet, and sort of like, shirk a little bit, but we didn't do that. We kept going. Obviously Wood hit the post from a corner. It just felt like we were like Chris sort of said, it was our game. We were playing our game. We were making them play the way we wanted it to play. Like, we set the table, and that was that. And we were good. We were good in the first half. We looked very controlled. Sangare was pulling the strings nicely in midfield. Dominguez was covering the ground well. Williams, phenomenal at left back. Aina, very good at right back as well. Milenkovic and Murillo looked like nothing was getting through them, apart from that 1-0 blip in the first minute. We just looked like we had the game in the palm of our hands. It was just so surreal, because that's the Forest we've seen for like 9/10 of the season. That's the one that's been so well. And it was just nice to see it again, if I'm being perfectly honest. But no, it was good to see. I think, because you are right. Obviously, we saw it in the Leicester game, especially when we went a goal up. We sort of eased off a little bit, and that obviously led to our demise. But there was none like this time around. If anything, like you felt at that point, if there's to be another goal in that game, it would have been a Forest one, not a West Ham one, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Chris, just to round off the first half, we did have a bit of a worry. Obviously, I spoke about it right at the start, but Murillo looked like he was going to go off. He made the signal. I know some people at home might not see it, but it's where you like twirl your fingers to say like, I need to come off. And I don't know what happened, because he went off on a golf buggy, and then like, I don't know, the magic sponge must have come out in the changing room, or maybe some like deep freeze or something, because he seemed to go on. And I was thinking, like, throughout that whole second half, I was like, he needs to come off, because I just thought he was going to do himself more damage. But yeah, brilliant.
For me, I was sat, because it's different. Obviously, Christian's in the stadium. I'm sat here messaging all my mates, going, okay, who are we bringing in? Are we bringing Murillo in? Are we doing the back four? Are we going on the back five? What are we doing? Are we just and we're all like coming up with analogies of what we're going to do. And then we finally figure it out. And by the time we figured it out, Murillo's running up and down the touchline again, warming up. And we're going, hang on a second. He's back. Superman is back. So it was kind of like just a surreal moment, because you're right. He did give the signal. Then he gets wheeled off, and no one had made any contact with him. That's what worried me. It was like the Aina injury, where he went down with no contact. And I thought, okay, well, it's the Achilles or it's the calf. He's out for the season. I'm even messaging my mates going, listen, I think this is probably the last time we're going to see Murillo this season. That's disappointing. We're making all these things up in our head. And then before you know it, he's back. And do you know what? My thinking was not just because of his attacking prowess and his positioning, but there was a couple of things. Number one, he was getting the better of Bowen first half, and his pace is so important back there. But the other thing was, I was thinking, if he's not there, we were doing really well from corners, and Murillo was specifically doing well from corners. He was winning a lot of headers. He was finding the open space. He was getting in amongst players, and West Ham loved their set pieces, and that was what scared me. I was like, oh gosh, Murillo's been the linchpin. He's been the one like driving these defensive efforts in these corners on, and I was concerned about that. Even though Morato's a good header of the ball, it was a couple of things to worry about, and yeah, lo and behold, he was back. So I was delighted, to be honest, and it's great, because now he probably comes in, plays Chelsea, and that's the last home game of the season. We want to see all our team out there as much as possible, obviously minus Taiwo, but it's great to see the rest of our team out there, and I'm glad that he's not badly injured, because that's what I thought it was.
We'll touch on Taiwo later, but go on, Christian.
I must admit, yeah, it looked bad in the grounds, because, like, obviously, all the players, it was half time when all the subs came out, and they all had bibs over their sort of white jackets, apart from Morato. Morato was out there doing quite a strenuously warm up, and then you saw Murillo wheeled off in this bloody 4x4 / golf cart / quad bike thing, and he's like 5 minutes after everyone else, and he's like, oh no. And then I actually thought it was weird the first couple of minutes of the second half. I thought, why have they not announced a sub yet? And then we saw Murillo just clear one. It was like, hang on, it's not even been made. It was like, how? Oh, he's back. Like, how's this happened? Man, I made a granite.
I told you, magic sponge. It's like kind of the Undertaker when he just like arises, isn't it, or whatever? Do you know that famous clip? But Christian, second half, it started off it's similar to the first half, where West Ham are coming forward, putting crosses in. They then make an interesting quadruple substitution, but that seemed to not worry us as we go down the other end and we win a free kick, and we've scored from another set piece. I think we've scored now the most goals from set pieces this season. Funny enough, because I don't think we were very good at them last year. Milenkovic, I think, top scorer now from as a centre half with his 5th goal. But I mean, you've got to talk us about the VAR in the stadium, because it was painful at home, wasn't it? Me and Chris will chime in, but it was terrible, honestly terrible to watch.
It was horrific, mate. I mean, like, obviously that quadruple change, obviously, like I said earlier, that was basically Potter going, right, okay, my plan's now failed, now what? And he threw on Paqueta, threw on Füllkrug, and it was like, okay, we'll try and get back into the game now. But yeah, as you said, Forest goes that never ends, get a free kick. And honestly, from where I was, it kind of looked like a language just put it straight in. It looked like you just one of those, we just evades everyone, just goes in the back of the net. It was just one of those. So obviously everyone's going fine. And then, yeah, it all goes back to you saw the referee sort of hovering on the centre circle. He wasn't doing anything. And then you saw Gibbs White get very animated and Chris Wood get very animated. And you thought, okay, there's going to be a Checker-Sun description here. And then, yeah, it's just there for 6 minutes. And it was just bizarre. And it's just so. Oh, sorry, I can't swear on this podcast anymore. It's just so bad because you've got people around you meshing their mates back home, trying to latch onto the London Stadium Wi-Fi and try and message people and sort of say, is it offside? Is it not offside? What's going on? And then obviously we're hearing Carragher's going ballistic. Is he going ballistic because it stands? Is he going ballistic because it's clearly like a goal? You're just so in the dark and you don't know what's going on. And the longer it goes on, even the West Ham fans were chiming in with the FVAR chants. It was just ludicrous. The whole stadium was just whistling and booing, and eventually it comes to the decision the goal stands. And by that point, it's sort of like any joy you had from scoring a goal just being completely sucked and ripped away from you. It's sort of like, yeah, okay, great, it stands, but poor, so poor. And obviously, I don't know if they showed it on Sky as well, but the PGMOL statement that they tweeted out, they put that on the big screen about 10 minutes later to explain that there was a communication breakdown and Dominguez was offside. I think it's Tony, but Milenkovic was onside. And it still made no sense because we couldn't see what happened. We saw the ball hit the back of the net. We didn't see who it came off. So, yeah, it was just the whole thing was just handled very badly. I mean, you know what I think of Stockley Park and VAR and whatever else, and the people that run it. I mean, I know Lee, obviously, with his official hat on, will try and defend them and protect them as much as he can, but they really don't help themselves at times. And today was a perfect example of that. And the last 15 minutes of the game as well sort of doesn't really do him many favours. But yeah.
Go on, Chris.
Yeah, no, I'm with Christian on that. I think they got the decision right in the end, right? But the issue is 6 minutes, I'm watching it from every angle that they're watching it from. And within a minute and 30 seconds, I figured out everything myself, right? I'm not saying I'm smart. I'm just a normal human being who can have eyes and ears and see and listen and watch, right? So I can see everything. The Dominguez thing, yeah, he was slightly offside. So was he interfering with play? Not really. So there's not enough in it. Goes off Milenkovic's back. You can see that from 2 or 3 different angles. So it's Milenkovic. Is he onside? Yeah, narrowly is onside. He's in between 2 defenders. You can just see his head and then a couple of lads the other side of him. So for me, they were saying that there was an interference. The automated offside wasn't working, I think. And then they had to maybe draw the lines. I think that might have been an issue. But that should take them 2-3 minutes max. They've got to get quicker at this. 6 minutes is ludicrous, slows the whole game down. Then you get a ridiculous amount of injury time. Fans don't know what's going on. As Christian said, it takes the life out of the whole happiness of scoring a goal. But yeah, it should have been done quicker. It was a little bit of a tricky one, but it's got to be done in at least half the time. That's what I think.
I just always think if it's not within 60 seconds or 90 seconds, the on-field decision should stand, and that's it. Yeah, it's got to change, but thankfully, we scored. Thankfully, it's another goal, 2-0 up, Chris. And I mean, I thought we were pretty home and dry. Do you think the changes that we made hurt us a little bit? We brought on Danilo, Hudson-Odoi, and Morato all at once. I'm just wondering whether that kind of killed our flow a little bit, because I think Sangare, it was Sangare,
Gibbs White, and
Anderson all come off. I feel like we lost a little bit of control personally.
Yeah, so first of all, it's your first point. No, I never think we're home and dry. We can be, the
Forest PTSD kicking in.
Yeah, and I know that's an easy thing to say, but I've sat there and with my cousin, Christmas time, Boxing Day, watching Norwich 3-0 down with 10 minutes to go, and they come back and draw 3-3, and you're delighted the game's over. So it's the back of your mind, you're always remembering these moments. And also, nowadays anyone can score in the last minute. Look at Man United against Leon. They scored like 3 goals in like 5 minutes or something. So it can happen. So no, I never thought we were home and dry, but I did think, right, this is brilliant. 2-goal lead. West Ham might down tools a little bit now because like back into the season, are they really going to chase a draw now at home and one of them pull up with a hamstring or whatever? Because they're kind of clouded by that sort of summer beach feel. I thought they came out well, but I thought once we went 2-0 up, we'd get more control of the game, which we did. The substitution stuff, that did annoy me a little bit. Hindsight's 2020 vision, but I did think my initial instinct was we're bringing off 3 midfielders who basically controlled the game. No problem bringing Anderson off. He's on a yellow card. Got to be careful of him. Sagare, probably engines running out a bit, but I would have kept one of them on. I would have kept one of them on for another 10 minutes and then introduced someone else. And it's fine. Dominguez can do a job. He dropped in. That's completely fine. I just think you're taking 3 midfielders off. You lose that balance in midfield and you clear out the midfield completely. 2 of them, that's enough for me. And then leave someone else on. Gibbs White probably could have had the engine to go another 10 minutes. Maybe leave him on and he can kind of control the game in the middle of the park, because the moment we did that, I did instinctually think it was an issue. And lo and behold, it kind of became a little bit of an issue, but we held on.
Yeah, I mean, that issue did become because we failed to clear our lines, Christian. I mean, it's a great finish from Jarrod Bowen, take nothing away from it, but we've had this little debate. People have said, like, it's Morata. Morato's been poor. I think he doesn't get enough help from people around him that can maybe see the bigger picture. That may be hindsight from myself. It's a poor header from him. And then, yeah, Bowen he's been West Ham's saviour this season, to be fair. I think without him, they would definitely be in a relegation fight, more so than they should be anyway.
Oh, no, you're completely right there. I think it's weird because Bowen's one of those players that he's sort of a player you sort of dream of having, in a sense, because similar to players that we've got in that, if similar to Gibbs White, in a sense, that he'll give you everything. He will leave that pitch, shirt drenched in sweat the lot, but he'll have the quality to back it up as well. He isn't just a workhorse that runs around chasing like a headless chicken sort of thing, and then doesn't impact the game at all. He will impact the game, and he'll put a massive shift in. He was the only one out there really who gave a toss. Bowen, he seems to be proud for that. Obviously, he collided with the posts. Probably could have come off at that point, to be fair. That looked pretty painful. Obviously, the reaction of the Forest players straight away to get the medics over, and obviously with everything that happened last week as well with Taiwo, I'm not surprised they're a little bit, very quick onto that. But he's a very, very good player. That goal probably right at the top of his goal catalogue, to be fair. I mean, you have to give him credit. For him to flick it up like that off the outside of his boot and then just lever it top corner, it's outrageous technique from Bowen. You have to give him credit for that. It's moments like that why he's in an international, for example, a consistent one, why he's been at tournaments, etc., etc. The issue does come from should he even be in that position to begin with, because when you watch it back in real time, obviously in the ground you couldn't really see from where we were, but when having watched the highlights, that ball's going straight out of play. Someone needs to tell Morata there that ball's going straight out there. Just leave it. It's just going straight out of play for a goal kick. No, I'm done. But no one does. It just seems that no one does, whether it's Sells or Williams or whatever, no one does. And then that's probably the first issue. The second issue is the header out from Rasso is poor. There's no way around it. It is poor. There's no conviction in it. It doesn't go in. It goes straight to a West Ham player ultimately. And Williams is on the back foot at that point because it's literally facing straight at Bowen. And yeah, what happens next happens next. But so yeah, obviously all goals are avoidable. We know that. More could have been done to prevent it, yes. But yeah, it's just a bit frustrating. And obviously then, when the nerves start to set in at that point again, you start to think, okay, we've just seen Forest sort of fall away from this position of being, 6 points clear of City with 30 games played, for example, and now 2-0 up, now 2-1 up, with, a couple of minutes to play, plus a lot of stoppage time. Have they got the mettle to sort of see it out? It just puts you on unnecessary stress in the crowds, but thankfully, it was all that ends well.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, how? I mean, I don't know. I can't vouch for every team, but it always seems like we have the most stoppage time this season. Like last season, we complained about a lot of VAR. This season, I feel like I'm complaining a lot about stoppage time this season, even though it was a thing about last year where they're going to add loads on. This year just seems ridiculous. I mean, 11 minutes, fair enough, because 6 of it was for the VAR check. But then it went on even longer because after the VAR, I thought Sam Barrett was really good at refereeing. I thought he actually handled the game really well. After that, he lost complete and utter control of the match. West Ham players just booting us. They're complaining that we're time wasting, blah, blah, blah. It's game management and we hate it when it's against us. But they are just booting our players left, right, and centre.
100%. And you're right about Barrett. I thought he had a decent game for the most part, but the back end just lost control of it. Yellow cards being bandied around all over the place. And to be honest, on your VAR point, it does feel like that with us. And the reason why it feels like that with us is because it's in games like Southampton when we're 3-0 up and then we're back to the wall 3-2 and all of a sudden there's 10 minutes injury time. It's like games like the Spurs game. I actually don't know how much injury time was in that, but it felt like it went on forever when there shouldn't have been that much in that game either. I do think there should have been about 10, 11 minutes or whatever, but it did just go on and on and on. I even saw that happen in the Arsenal game there. It went on 2.5, 3 minutes longer than it should have. It was in 95 minutes. It was meant to be 5 minutes stoppage time and it happened there. But for us, it just feels that way, probably because we put ourselves in a position where we're ahead. Then someone scores a late goal, same as against Spurs, 2-1 win away from home. They scored practically the same time. And then you're back to the wall. And I think maybe it just feels that way. I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's conspiracy. Although being a Forest fan with VAR and the amount of stoppage time we get sometimes really does feel like a conspiracy. But yeah, I just think it's because the nature of the games that we've been in where we've been ahead and then let it slip a little bit. There's always just loads of injury time in them and we're just like praying for the end.
I mean, Christian, how did it feel in the ground? That's one question. The other one, did it allow lots of West Ham fans to get out the ground so you could get home a little bit quicker?
Well, no, because most of them were staying behind for a lap of honour, so it was all right. But although quite a lot of them did go, to be fair. It was weird because I felt like, again, I always think back to last season when we lost 3-2 at Brentford, when Matt Turner decided to ignore the wall and just let Ivan Toney put it through, and when they made him out to be the Undertaker and whatever else in that horrible, horrible stadium. But I always think back to that they had about 7-8 minutes added time that day, and Brentford killed it so well. And it seems, I remember we were saying on the podcast and speaking to Reece as we were leaving the ground that day, it's like, it's something we didn't learn from doing and start like actually applying ourselves in that way because, you know, it gets you points. And that's what we did today. I thought, honestly, it was quick because it was just crazy. Apart from that one corner they had where Fulkrug, forced Sells into a good save, really. They didn't do anything, West Ham. It just felt like nothing really happened. And then, like, my dad was asking me, how long we got left? I was like, 2 minutes. Like, it was like, yeah, like 9 minutes has gone and nothing had happened. We saw it out so well. We were so professional. It was a bit like the Spurs game, actually, where, we sort of, it's almost like we like having challenges for ourselves at times, Forest. Sort of like, obviously 2-0 down at Spurs and then, full in the back foot, they score to make it 2-1. And it's like when you sit forward playing FIFA or whatever else, like, right, okay, no, that's it. Not having any more anymore now. And then we see it out perfectly. Same thing happened today, pretty much, until, of course, this random fracas breaks out. And then, you look at the clock and then suddenly 11 minutes turns into 17 minutes. And they're like, I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. And then he brings it back for a drop ball. Like Wood and the goalkeeper having a little chat at the other end of the pitch while at the other end's like it's all kicking off and no one knows what's happened. The thing is, we didn't even know what he'd given or what he'd done, and we weren't sure if it's a Forest free kick. We weren't sure if it's a penalty because at one point it looked like it might have been. We didn't know if it's a free kick into the box for West Ham. We didn't know it was our ball. We didn't know it'd be a drop ball where Wood was. Hence why he stayed exactly where he was with the ball at his feet. There was just he just lost complete control of that game, the ref, and. You can see that the West Ham fans were getting on his back a bit towards the end as well because he was giving us decisions that he wasn't giving them, which is quite nice because how many times we said over the last few weeks where there's no consistency, and it just descended into chaos. But the actual mood was all right. I wasn't as stressed as I thought I'd be because we were seeing it out so well, and it's. Hopefully that's something that we've actually got to our arsenal this season because if we can see out stoppage time when you're up the backs against the wall a little bit, you're going to go far because it's all about points now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I thought we saw it out pretty convincingly. Like you said, the one chance Fulkrug, I expect Sells to make that save 10 times out of 10, to be honest. So, yeah, no, really, really good. So Ian Sutton's just put a comment. I just want to answer off both of you, but this is quite a cheeky one. He's put, "Can we get Bowen?" He's always someone that's he's kind of on the nemesis list a little bit. He always scores passes. He used to score passes for Hull all the time, if I remember rightly. Chris, would you like Jared Bowen in our ranks next season? I don't think we'll be able to get him, to be honest. I think he quite likes it there at West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, of course I would. I mean, as Christian said, the main thing about his characters, I mean, obviously he's very talented, but it's the fact that he puts everything into the game, like Gibbs White. And Christian was right. In that game, I was admirably admiring him, but I was admiring him for getting up off, having hit the post. I thought he might go off for maybe a concussion protocol or something. He went off, came back on, played the full game. Like, that's the type of player you want, someone who's talented and has the work rate and passion and can lead by examples, of course. But realistically, will we get Bowen? Probably not. Like, he would cost quite a bit of money, I imagine. And I think, we probably be looking at other players and projects like the likes of Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, who came in to build on top of our wingers. But yeah, of course, like if we had a chance of getting him, I would 100% say yes, let's go for it. But yeah, I don't think we will.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, any thoughts on that comment?
God, yeah, he's a brilliant footballer. Of course, I'd have him at Forest, but yeah, I mean, like Chris said, it's probably not only financially unviable, but I think he's got a lot of roots at West Ham as well. Obviously, his wife's Danny Dyer's daughter. He's a massive West Ham fan as well, so he feels like sort of, you're on the FM list. You've got like legend, icon, favorite person. Now he's probably in the West Ham icon list, if not legend list, I'd say. So, especially for his goal in the Conference League final, for example, it's their first trophy in 45 years, whatever it was. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's had quite a lot to prize him. I'm not sure that'll be Nottingham Forest, unfortunately, but reliving dreams.
Interesting. Just interesting. You mentioned that Bowen, he's got his roots there and stuff, but he is a top quality player. He can play for pretty much any team. Gibbs White's similar in that way, and I know we're probably losing him this summer. And we don't know if we are, but we might be, and it's looking that way. But like, you wonder, if Forest get Champions League last day, something crazy happens. I'm sure we'll talk about it. And we win, and then other teams drop points where they shouldn't. You wonder, would Gibbs White think, well, hang on, I can be the man here, just like Bowen is at West Ham, and I can do that. But going into Europe, and Forest are going to build more and more and more. And I don't know. There's a lot to be said for that. There is still players like Bowen at teams like West Ham, and we're better than West Ham right now, and we'll be in a European competition next year. So I just wonder. I hope Gibbs White's looking at that going, maybe that's me here,
Yeah, I mean, he's if he's not the man already, he definitely will be soon. But yeah, I think he's got it all here. He could definitely be the club captain for as long as he wants. But we'll see about that. It's going to be an interesting summer. Just wanted some man of the match nominees from yourselves, guys. I mean, I think you can name about half a dozen, to be honest, but I'll take a few off yourselves. Chris, I'll start with yourself. Couple of man of the match. Who's your main shout, and who may be an honourable mention?
It's hard. I think Sells made some really, really important saves. I'm not talking about that one.
You love the goalkeeper union, don't you?
I know, but just the early save, like, people don't understand, like, a couple of those early saves, if that ends up like going in, the game's completely different and it's gone from us. And I feel so sorry for him, because against Spurs and West Ham, he should have had clean sheets. Both those games, he should have. And what's happened is we've conceded, two kind of silly goals, and he's made some massive saves in both games. So look, I'm just putting them out there, but no, I think Milenkovic deserves a shout for getting that goal. I think Elanga deserves a shout for just, how well he led the line today. And then I do think Sangare was brilliant today. Like, so good on the ball. That's the Sangare we bought and what we wanted him for. He was always been good. He's just been injured and he's been unlucky. And honestly, the last 3 games, he's been so good. And he's actually been better every week on week. Like, from Palace to last week to this week, he controls the game. He's so calm. So honestly, Sangare's my main shout.
Fair, Christian.
Look how happy you are. Oh no, he's so good at it. It's like not having to battle and sort of to say, like, this is Sangare we bought. This is who we signed. Like, and it was so nice to hear his chant go around. Have you heard it through the TV? Like, that I want to dance with somebody. So I want to dance with Sangare. It was good. He came off. His face sort of lit up when that whole away end was sort of clapping him off. It was really nice to see. It can't be easy. I think we all sort of overlook how rough it's been for him, because we've assumed that, he's coming for big money, he should hit the ground running straight from off the bat, sort of thing. It doesn't always work that way. He moves on deadline day. didn't know the language. You know, has to get, I remember on Twitter there was an open call, wasn't there? Sort of like, can anyone speak French? Come down to the City ground like now. And there was that one bloke who did it. You know, it's a big adjustment, huge adjustment. Obviously, the Dutch league to the Premier League as well. Yeah, okay, he's looked good in European nights, but it's a completely different game, like in terms of intensity, in terms of speed, everything else. And you know, he started to sort of semi-settle. He did okay. Then you know, he has AFCON. He goes, so he gets malaria. So he gets malaria first on the international break. Comes back. You know, he lost a lot of weight. He looked like a bloody corpse walking around in midfield in the Everton second half. I remember the game we lost 1-0 through no fault of his own. You know, he goes to AFCON. Recovers from that. Bosses in midfield at Newcastle on Boxing Day. Absolutely runs the show. Goes to AFCON. Then he has his ankle detached by Sadio Mane in a terrible, terrible challenge. And he's sort of in and out of the team when he comes back because he hasn't fully healed from it. Goes into pre-season. We're finding it right. Okay, we're going to get him now. Emerges from pre-season. First choice midfield as Nuno's midfield. Then, but he tears his hamstrings out for 3-4 months. Then he's got to try and come back from that bit by bit, game by game. And he's had a really rough run, Sangare. And I think we always sort of forget that there is a human element behind that as well. We just sort of assume, as fans, it's not just Forest, it's everywhere. You sort of see players almost as like commodities, as products, sort of like, oh, you put this one in and out sort of thing, and they do this for us and whatever else. You don't really sort of assume, sort of factor into account what they've been through or what it takes to be in that position. And he's had a terrible, terrible run, Sangare. So to see him sort of come through all of that adversity and sort of get his own chant now, finally have people who were blind now actually see what he can do on a football field. And, you know, like Chris has said there, game on game on game, he's been tremendous in the last 3. Palace, he was great. We lost all control when he went off. It was the exact same last week, and to an extent, it was the same today. So, you know, I'm really, really pleased with him. He was a standout for me today, Sangare. Some of his passing today was just out of this world. He's just every time he gets it, it's like he just sees a game like a step ahead of everyone else. He's played the ball before anyone can react, and it's always forward as well. Really, really good to see. So yeah, delight for him. I thought, as well as him, Williams was outstanding at left back today. Absolutely outstanding. The amount of duels he won. There was one tackle, he was running back and Bowen was in down the right, and he had to get it right as well. He comes across, wins the ball perfectly, nails Bowen in the process, and puts it out for a throw. And it was like, yeah, proper challenge that. He was great today, Williams. And Gibbs-White, well, I mean, what can you say? Like that moment we spoke about off air where Cruyff turns in a defensive position, beats 2 players, gets up on the pitch, gets the ball back, bang, 30-yard ball across the box, sets us in attack. Top class. That's why we've said for years he should be in England fold. That was a top draw performance. That was a Man City performance today from Gibbs-White. Really was. So if you're asking me for 3 players, I'd say those 3 above anyone else. I might see Milenkovic, Sales, Murillo underneath that bracket, but those 3 at the top.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair run through as well. David in the comments enjoyed your run through there, Christian. So you've got an admirer for once. Normally you get a lot of hate. No, I can't really argue with any of them. I thought I enjoyed Elanga's performance today. I thought he covered both flanks really well, ran the channels really well, and that was good. It was good that Callum Hudson-Odoi come back for some minutes, although it looks a little tame in some regards. I know he get absolutely crunched in the first minute or so by I think it was Carlos Soler. I can't remember now, or Paqueta, or was it maybe it was Tadibo, wasn't it? Just absolutely nailed him. But no, back to Murillo, Milenkovic, heading kick everything. Milenkovic another goal, which is vital. Murillo just running through whatever is happening with him just to carry on. So yeah, no, this is the kind of thing we need. Interestingly, though, guys, obviously Newcastle lost today, and then Bournemouth are playing Manchester City at City on Tuesday. With at one point, I mean, Christian, you mentioned in our group chat actually a nervous St James's Park on the last day as they play Everton. We're obviously playing Chelsea. Villa go to Manchester United. Regardless of the City game, Chris, how crazy is it next week? I know we had our opportunity because we couldn't beat an Everton or Brentford side where we thought on paper, yeah, we should beat them. Leicester, we blew it last week by kind of going into our shell a little bit. If you said at the start of the season, there'll be a last game playoff almost where you play someone who's a rival within that mix to get in the Champions League, you'd have told me what asylum have I just broke out of?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you told me at the start of the season we're going to finish top 10, I would still have been in shock because, it just, we were all predicting 13th and 14th as a high position. What I'm really happy about is the last few weeks, Christian was at the Everton game. I was there as well. Quite a few of us were there. I think you were there as well, Adam. It's horrendous moment, right? As I heard Christian say one time that the air was sucked out of the stadium. It was like that Joe Worrell moment from Derby a few years ago. It felt that bad, right? And we bounced back against Spurs the week after. And then obviously we lose the FA Cup semi-final, kills a little bit of our momentum. We're probably tired legs. Brentford beat us at home. That shouldn't happen. That's back-to-back home games we've lost. And then we go and draw with Palace on the Monday. And it's a little bit more hopeful. But overall, we're down and out because really we should have beaten a Leicester team who were absolutely pathetic last week. Like, they're a joke of a team this season. They've made mistakes, particularly with their management. Everyone knows it, and they're gone. And we should really have put them to bed and put them to the sword. We didn't play particularly bad in that game. We dominated most of the game, but we had a couple of really stupid lapses of concentration that cost us. And it felt like a typical Forest thing. And there's been a meltdown from everyone, including me, over the course of the last couple of weeks, because it's like we had ourselves in such a good position after the Man United game. We were 57 points. Okay, everyone else had a game in hand, but they were quite far behind. And it felt like we could close it out. All of a sudden, the FA Cup semi-final or final happens yesterday. As Christian said many times, and I've said it before, Palace looked like they could probably beat Man City. They did it. And now there's another meltdown. Just when we come to terms with the fact that we're going to make Europa League, it's Conference League. And the problem with all this is there's a million meltdowns happening in the space of a week. It's such a roller coaster of emotions that no one knows what to say or how to feel or who to be angry at. But ultimately, all that matters is, can Forest win on Sunday and put ourselves in a position for all three of those? Because if we beat Chelsea next week, we're definitely guaranteed Europa League, because that'll drop them below us and we'll finish at least sixth. So we put something back in our hands. We've given ourselves something to be proud of. And going into this last game, my fear was if we peter out today and we don't even have a chance to put anything back in our own hands, we're hoping to beat Chelsea so that they drop to sixth and they win the Conference League and then we get Europa League again. This way, we're fighting on all fronts. We're fighting for the Champions League still. We're fighting for the Europa League. You know what? If we end up with Conference League, at least we won that second last game to give the fans something to be excited about next week. Chelsea's not going to be an easy game. We know that. But I'm just so damn excited that we've managed to do that after the adversity of the last few weeks. And there was some things out of our control a little bit. Villa just winning on ridiculous form. And Villa might not even make the top five now, even after winning all these games in a row. So, look, to win today is huge. It changes the sort of narrative of the season a little bit. We were a bit disappointed, and we still are, but now we're only 1 point behind going into the last game, and I have to cheer for Man United against bloody Villa, which is an absolute nightmare for me. But yeah, I think there's just so much to be positive about based on one result today that gives us that chance on the last day.
I mean, I was about to ask you, how do you feel about cheering on Man United, but you've already answered it. So, I mean, we're all going to have to cheer.
This is the
thing, like, we're going to cheer for Bournemouth on Tuesday. We're going to want Everton
Spurs to win on Wednesday as well. Because if Spurs do win Europa League final, United will not want to finish their season trophyless and potentially 17th in the league. They'll go into that game on Sunday if they've lost that final with like a fire up their ass. You better believe.
I have a different theory about that, to be honest. I think that if they win on Wednesday, they won't down tools the final day, and they might have a little bit of confidence. And, like they played on Friday, they didn't play great, but they didn't completely down tools. Now, look, I don't know the answer, but it's the last home game of the season. And their fans have paid so much money watching absolute crap the whole season that maybe if they win, they'll all think, right, we've got a trophy. We're just let's finish on a high. But look, who knows what the psychology is? I kind of disagree with that, but yeah.
I mean, the fact that Bournemouth have got that sliver of hope, but also Fulham have got that sliver of hope because they're in the same mix. They've got a part to play against City, which is not an easy game at Craven Cottage. Not an easy game. I mean, Christian, I wanted to ask you about the comment you made about a nervy St. James's. No Alexander Isak today. I mean, if he doesn't play that last game of the season, they've got to rely on Callum Wilson, who's made of, I don't know, apple crumble. Then. And Everton have been good. Everton have been very good since David Moyes has gone in there, especially away from home. They've been really good. They've been very strong. So I mean, this is good. It's like classic when we went up against Yeovil and we're all listening out for the Cheltenham score or whatever. I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's going to be that kind of thing.
Yeah.
People like bringing in boom boxes to like get score updates. You can't get no signal in the City ground.
No signal in the ground whatsoever. No, only Reece to get that, and Lee somehow. I get their messages come through at once at like random points in the game. Also, to add to your positivity before I douse on it, Chris, Chelsea won once away since Boxing Day in the league, and they've got European final 3 days after our game.
That's true.
So their priority is going to be a bit all over the place. They'll also go into it knowing there's a lot of pressure on them as well, because if they don't win it, then it's like, their fans aren't going to tolerate that. I'm sure Dave will probably be happy to come on and then for the preview. He's livid at the minute, the situation at Chelsea. So it wasn't that long ago. There were protests towards the manager and protests towards the ownership as well. So, but it's not a happy camp at Chelsea at the present. If there's a lot of pressure and riding going into that game. What would be the most Forest thing imaginable is if Newcastle lose to Everton, if Man City lose to Bournemouth and Fulham, and if Villa lose to Man United, and then we somehow draw or something like that, and we miss out entirely. Everything goes our way, and we still do a Forest and just blow up, and just But it's the fact is that it is there is a compelling argument now that final day nerves, anything can happen. The pressure's on now. I said obviously in the group chat the other week, like mid several meltdowns. See, Chris, you can probably testify to that. Over the last week, it's been a pretty rough ride, as you alluded to earlier. But it's very easy to chase. It's not so difficult. It's not so easy to lead. And when it comes down to you've got one more 90 minutes to get set of 90 minutes to go through. We saw it at Villa and Spurs. Villa Park was like a morgue until they scored. The nervous energy around the ground. They were not, it wasn't like, where you think like, oh, great atmosphere and they're all getting behind their lads and whatever else. It was silent. They were all watching like half behind their eyes, like their hands, sorry. So, and then obviously they scored and then the fans came out and it's like, yeah. But, it's strange things can happen. Pressure can do strange things to people. And, because of this situation we're in, there isn't a lot of pressure on Forest anymore. We've look at us now. We've all consigned ourselves to, we've blown it. We none of us think we're going to do it anymore. And we saw an element of that today in the performance. It's the first time we've looked in weeks like we've actually looked like the Forest that we know we've seen all season. Chelsea will want the ball. That's going to be another plus. They will want the ball. They'll want 6% of the ball at least, because that's how Maresca plays. He's a woke Pep disciple. He'll want the ball. That'll play into our hands as well. I mean, what I'm like, how I was as well. But strange things can happen. St James's is, unless they get an early goal, St James's is going to be pretty ropey as well. It'll be exactly the same as Villa Park was the other night against Spurs. Villa, I mean, regardless of what happens at United game, I don't think United have had a car crash for a season. They'll go into that thinking, whatever happens in the final, last day at Old Trafford, we cannot send these fans home unhappy one more time. We just get this season over with, give them something. It won't be an easy ride for United. And to be fair, United's underlying, to be all Thomas Frank with you, their underlying numbers in recent weeks haven't been bad. The issue is they employ bloody raffle winners like Rasmus Højlund to be at the top end of the pitch, which sort of lets them down a little bit. So, but they could be a tougher test than we give them credit for. And then, it's possible. It's possible. Am I going to say anything else? No, it's possible. I think the City one's a little bit far fetched. I think they'll probably smack Bournemouth and Fulham personally, but they're not easy games, so you don't know. And they're very predictable to play against this season, as we saw in the FA Cup final. So, who knows? Coin toss.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's. I'll be watching with intent on Tuesday night and Wednesday night, I suppose. Like for all these games, it's mad to be part of. I'm so happy to be part of it, to be honest. I mean, Chris, what's your thoughts going into this Chelsea game next week? Obviously, I am expecting some sort of phone call off you to ask me, because that's what you seem to do every week. It's great that we communicate like this and get all our thoughts and feelings out. But it's not a bad scenario to be in at home, City ground. I feel like, from my point of view, I can't speak for everyone. It would be interesting to hear about what you guys think and what the rest of the fan base do. But I feel quite relaxed almost about it, almost like we can go in with a little bit of freedom. We can go in, it's almost a free hit, but we deserve to be where we are on merit. And we can just go out at Chelsea and try and try and just win the game of football by being positive, like we were today against West Ham. We pressed so high. I want to see that again against Chelsea. I feel like the crowd will get behind them, and Chelsea could fold under that pressure. Personally,
definitely. And Jackson's not there. Obviously, he's suspended. That's a big thing because he has been their focal point up front, and he is dangerous. So that's a massive thing for them. They're meant to be the big bad Chelsea. You've spent £1 billion. They're meant to be the big team coming in, and they're meant to get this over the line. They're meant to come to the City Ground and beat us. That's how they'll be thinking. We have to go to the City Ground, we'll get the win there, and then that's Champions League. That's their mentality now. But we're fighting on all fronts now, and I think the mentality from our team is, look, win the game, last game of the season. For some players, could be their last game for Forest, right? We don't know that. Right, like if Gibbs White is gone in the summer, this is his last game for Forest. He'll be probably wearing the captain's armband, leading us out. Big for him, and we saw what the pressure's done to him the last 2 weeks. He's had 2 goals and assists. He's been brilliant. So yeah, I honestly tip the balance in our favor to beat them. And if we do, and the other teams win, fine. We get 6th. We get something out of it, and we finish top 6, and we're proud of it. I think today's result for me has really been important because, everyone's writing up what's happened in the collapse, and we've all talked about it, but it doesn't feel like that as much anymore. Like I said, we've only lost 1 in 5 Premier League games. Yes, the Leicester game was a disgrace. We shouldn't have drawn that, but we've won 2, drawn 2, and lost 1 of the last 5. And it's a bit of a nicer landing point for Forest. And it feels like we've made an effort at the back end of the season. We haven't just led the line a lot of the way and dropped out like Leicester did that season, where they were in the whole season and then the last day they dropped out. It's a bit different, I think. I think we've now fought a little bit at the end. That's why today was really important. But Chelsea next week, yeah, I think we've a big chance of doing it. Whether the other teams will do it or not, I don't know. As Christian says, like Everton, they're not as good as Newcastle, but they can go there and tighten it up. Man United hopefully send a warning shot across the bow in the last game of the season, but we can only do what we can do. And I'm just hoping for a good performance. And I think a lot of our players can be really up for it because, like I said, we don't know which one is going to be here after the summer. And after today's win, I think it's going to give us a lot of confidence going into it. And we are the underdogs. We're the underdogs going in. If we sneak in on the last day, now that's a fairy tale story.
I actually think I prefer that than that we've been 3rd all season, to be honest. I just think it would be more like poetic and more of like a...
I don't prefer... I just wanted it done a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but that's boring.
If it happens, it'll be better. But yeah.
We're one of the most entertaining sides in the country. I just feel like the montage would just look so much better. Like
it's actually a functional football club, honestly.
Yeah, it's like it's like a brilliant film in it, where there's a twist and then there's a turn and then there's the resurgence and then we make up and at the end we get the girl. Christian, what's your... do you fear Chelsea? I know we're going to speak to Dave, so he'll probably be saying how bad he thinks Maresca is, blah, blah, blah. But it is a game where I generally think we can go off and beat them, to be honest. I don't fear Chelsea. Cole Palmer has been a shadow of what he was in the first half of the season. I don't know what's happened to him personally. Very strange.
Dave might have an insight to that, to be fair, because he had a position moved around a bit and he wasn't as effective. He also hasn't helped that Jackson is Jackson. I think Kunku hasn't been much better either. So do I fear them? No. Obviously, I'm very aware of what they can offer. I'm very aware of how they are, what they're set up like. I'm also very aware that you can't expect handouts or favours from the other teams around you because they are where they are for a reason. I mean, I found that very odd over the last few days, where everyone's sort of like getting annoyed at the teams above for not, like for Villa and whoever it was at the weekend, for not losing. It's like, well, these are we're talking about the top 6 teams in the country. It's like, I still think some of our fans are sort of used to it being the other way around, where we're sort of used to teams like Luton losing or it's Everton losing or Leeds losing or Southampton losing. Teams who, more often than not, if a team in 4th plays a team in 19th, the team in 4th is going to win. And when we sort of forget that when it's flipped the other way, and we need a team in 4th to lose, it doesn't work that way. They're there for a reason. So I'm not expecting any handouts. Realistically, I think if you're a betting man, you probably would still bet Newcastle at home to get the job done. They turned, St James's Park was a cauldron when they played Chelsea, and they got the rewards in 3 minutes. So you look at that. Man City again, are they going to slip up twice? It's highly unlikely. And as much as we say about United, I feel like we're sort of grasping for straws with them. They've been an absolute bomb site this season. They're an embarrassment to the league. You know, you're looking at a potentially £1 billion squad finishing 16th or 17th. I mean, that shouldn't be happening. You know, Amorim's record in the league is worse than Gary Neville's was at Valencia. So, you know, it's been an absolute disaster. I mean, we're looking at a team in Villa who've gone this monstrous run. It's like, well, it's not going to end there, is it, if you're a betting man? But it's football. It's played on grass. It's not played on Excel spreadsheet, unlike what Thomas Frank might want. You never know. But ultimately, none of this will matter anyway unless we do what we need to do. And yeah, I think we can beat Chelsea. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be easy, of course. They have very good players. As we know, Moises Caicedo's been phenomenal this year, be it at right back or in midfield. Enzo Fernandez has sort of started to show some of the sort of form that may have warranted such a hefty price tag. But if he starts doing crazy things like playing Madueke on the left rather than the right, for example, which is what he has been doing recently, or playing Palmer deeper, or, you know, even in Nkunku, and Nkunku's not shown a lot so far this season. And you sort of think of, is their mind going to be on today? Is it going to be on the final a few days later? How's he going to play it out? Is Reece James going to factor into this occasion at all? Because obviously we know how world class he is. Is he going to be trusted to play twice in 3 days? They're there for the taking, I think. Chelsea. They're there. We've got them at a very awkward spot, and it's at home. It's going to be a fervent City grounds, you know, crowd. We're all going to be up for it because we're all chasing now, and we're sort of like, you know, hope rather than expectation, and you know, it might be a bit of a nicer atmosphere going in rather than it has been the last couple of games. I wouldn't write us off, put it that way.
It's an intriguing one because obviously the pressure of Chelsea winning the Conference League is quite great, but also the pressure of getting into the Champions League is also humongous as well. So, like you say, probably caught them in between a rock and a hard place, as the saying goes. What's your score prediction, Christian?
Because you caught me a good time because we've won today. I'm going to go 3-2 Forest.
3-2. Oh my god.
Chris?
One
for the heartstrings, that one.
Yeah, definitely. Chris?
I was going to go 3-2, but I'll go 2-1 Forest. Yeah, 2-1. I think, you know, 3 goals might be a bit of a stretch for us. But yeah, I think we'll win 2-1. That's what I'm going for. And Cucurella gets sent off.
If the script writers were writing this, it's like Forest are 2-0 down, then they pull one back, and then they pull another, and then someone else like a City or a Newcastle or Man United give them hope by if Forest get a third goal, they will get in the Champions League, and then we get it, and then like literally 30,000 people are in the Trent at the end of it, like, and we've done it, and yeah, I mean that if the script writer was out there, that's what he'd be writing.
It wasn't about dreaming. It's about dreaming.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with 1-0 Forest.
We're all back in a 1-goal scoreline then to Forest.
Yeah. Well, like, because you said about being betting, and normally I'm crap at betting, so I'm definitely putting on all the teams to win their games because I know one of them will bugger up my accumulator. It's just a given. I never win them, so I'm doing that. Bet responsibly. Just want a quick word on Taiwo, Chris. Nice that the team contributed the win, dedicated the win to him. Sorry. Really sad that what's happened, induced coma, operations, could be a career-ending injury. It's really damning. Really, he's had such an awful time at our football club. Considering that he's a bit of a fan favorite, he's a bit of a cult hero because of his unorthodox way of playing, but. No one should go through what he's going through, especially for someone in a career like football where it is short anyway.
Yeah, horrendous. I mean, and even though he's been injured so often, he still provided some unbelievable moments for us as Forest fans, even through all the injuries he's had. And this specific injury is obviously, it was quite a dangerous one. And, you know, obviously thoughts go out to the family and everyone sort of galvanised fans and the players as well. Gibbs White holding his jersey up when he scored, and it's just really, really nice to see our fans react that way. Obviously, we were always going to do that, but our fans in particular are just amazing when it comes to things like that. I feel like we all come together for one common goal, and it's for the health of a player that we love, and I just think that's something good that has come out of something really, really bad. But it's good to hear that he's on the road to recovery, and yeah, just really, really great to see Gibbs White score and immediately get a jersey drop down to him and he holds it up, and we all know what that's for. So shocking situation that happened last week, but the fans, the way that they galvanized and the way they were, it made me think, just forget about the Champions League chase for a minute and just focus on kind of what is important.
It was pretty nice to actually. I mean, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I noticed in the 9th minute of the game, like the Taiwo started to roll around and go through the away ends, and like look behind me, and obviously Reece had brought that Nigeria flag with Taiwo on it, and there was another thing sort of like "Stay Strong, Big T," I think it said. There was obviously Brogan, I'm sure most people know from Twitter. She was a few rows in front of me with a Nigeria scarf. I think she got on TV with that as well. So it was really, really nice to sort of see how all the fans got behind him today, because that's a scary situation. It really is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we wish him all the best, and hopefully he gets as a speedy recovery. And whether that means he can carry on playing football or not, you just don't want that kind of thing to affect someone's life. Really, that's what's the most important thing. So we wish him a speedy recovery. So yeah, no, that kind of concludes the podcast today. An amazing win, 10 wins. I think Nuno's equaled Brian Clough's best ever, which accumulates over a couple of seasons where he's got 10 away wins. Frank Clark got 10 away wins in that season when we came third. So yeah, another milestone hit from Nuno and the team, which has been great. I mean, what chalk and cheese this has been as an away supporter from the last 2 seasons. It's been ridiculous. So that's been a nice turnaround. We do take it to the last game. I can't wait. We will be doing another podcast tomorrow that will get released tomorrow evening, probably. So tune in for that. And then we'll bring you a preview as well with our resident Chelsea fan, Dave, that Christian knows. And we'll see you then. But if you've enjoyed the pod, drop a like, drop a subscribe. It's all free. We'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Reds.